ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I'm Dennis, and this is my first live repair, so we'll see how it goes. We have one of our Veris 5 models is going to a local school, and they've asked for a hand crutch to be installed. And I'm going to try to do that on camera, and we'll probably have some other things, maybe a cleaning or something, other general maintenance stuff. So we're going to get started. Mounting a hand crutch, we like the Dirk style, where it's got the single screw because we find that lasts longer, it's more durable. And to get the right orientation, I'm going to use my hand as a model. And I usually mark it with a Sharpie. And this is a lacquered horn, so I'll need to strip the lacquer to get a good bond for the mount on the crutch. So I've got my triangular scraper, and I'm going to just gently scrape the surface, and that will remove lacquer in that one place. And I'm scoring it with a number of parallel scores to get down to bare metal.
Turn up your volume a little bit.
And Derek's going to turn up the volume. Could you grab me a piece of clean emery cloth? Yeah, that long one will work. I'll just use it. Thanks. Okay, I've scraped it, but just to be sure that we're down to bare metal and that it's clean. Do a little bit of sanding in here. The solder is amazing, but it needs to have a clean metal surface to get the best chemical bond. And there's nothing worse than your hand crutch falling off right before the downbeat. Or right before that big solo in Mahler 5. Double check the orientation once more, it's looking good. And we use these clamps. It's a spring clamp. A lot of repair shops use these things. That will help hold the part and orient it in the right way as I'm soldering. Applying flux. Freaking telephone. One of the best things about doing this kind of work is you get to play with fire all day. Chris, could you hold this while I do the soldering? Because I can't support it at the right angle.
I'm going to move my hand so it doesn't drip on me. How about that?
No, you have to keep it there.
No.
Clamp is not working. You sure about that?
Yep.
Let's angle it. And
Did you flux it?
let me do, yeah, it is flux, but let me tin it off the horn first. So we're going to add some solder to the base of the crutch. And angle it. Then we don't have to apply a lot of heat to the horn. If doing that, it's going to increase the chance that we might burn lacquer. I'm going to move it so you don't get burned. So once again, I'll heat the base. Mount.
You guys are gonna keep standing. Jesus. Customer.
It's got a nice bead on this. I can't see the other side. Does it look good on that side? Okay, so still not quite melted.
I can. Do you want me to add some?
Yeah,
solder?
if you would run it in.
Keep heating. So it needs to be heated from this side.
The solder flux is an acid that aids the bonding of the ions. So we just added more flux. To allow the solder to melt in. And I believe we got a nice clean bead on both sides. So try to get this camera is like backwards. And you can see we'll need to do a little cleanup, but it's got a nice eutectic bond that would be strong for many years. And then from heating that big chunk of metal, you can see it's still boiling the water. It's still probably 300 degrees or so. So I'm just wiping off the water that I quenched with has also got a little bit of soap in it, so it neutralizes the acid from the flux. And then we'll do a little bit of cleanup with something we use in the shop every day. That's a metal polish called Flitz. And this stuff works really well. It's easy to use too much of it, but you really only need about a half a drop. And I'm trying to clean all the surfaces, get them polished up a little bit. And over the years, I've learned many techniques to clean up solder work. And pretty much every day here in the shop, we use several different techniques. We have a buffing machine. We may sand parts with fine emery cloth. Sometimes it's steel wool, and sometimes it's a treated silver polish cloth to get into tight spots. And the clearance between the pipe and the bell tail on this horn is very tight, so I finally just got it in. So change the angle on that. One complete hand crutch. Still a little bit of staining from the heat, so I just polish that off. Next step, I'll spray a bit of lacquer on this to coat it and keep it from tarnishing. We'll include a adjustment wrench in the case for the customer, and it's ready to be delivered to our customer. Next up, we have another Veris 5. This is actually our demo horn that stays in the showroom for our customers to try. But it's been played and then sat on the wall a number of times over the past few months, and the rotors are getting some mineral buildup on them. So I'm going to pop those out and we'll get those clean. Re-lubricate and reassemble. Hey Derek, can this phone run on battery and go over to the sink? I'm going to be popping these rotors out to clean them. I need a mallet and other stuff to take rotors out. I have that black nylon one instead. Another one like that. Okay, first thing, the valve strings come off. I'm going to bring you guys in closer. And re-angle the camera, sorry. Derek, I swiped on the camera and it flipped the screen around, and I don't know how to.
So it's just, there you go.
I've never seen
So you
that
want
setting.
camera 1.
So many people know this, but in case you don't, there's the lever arm for fourth valve, the string arm. This is considered the lever arm string screw, the end screw, and then this screw is the lever arm or the stop arm string screw. They work together so that you get smooth valve action. Right now, again, this is third valve's frozen up. So I'll remove that. Loosen string on the screw. Try to get you guys a better angle. First valve, string arm screw. Loosen that, take the string off the screw head, and then unwind it from the stop arm screw. The main rotor screw has to be loosened to take the rotors out. In order to not chew up the heads, I'm using a large screwdriver, but then I'll go to my smaller jeweler's screwdriver. And then it's always helpful to remove the valve caps before you try to take a rotor out. So this tool is shaped to go into the stop arm. It's the same shape, a D shape, as the rotor spindle. So I've just driven the spindle through the stop arm, and the rotor comes out the backside. There's your rotor and the back bearing plate. This one doesn't show any mineral buildup, but I think we'll see that on 1, 2, and 3. valve. There are your rotor casings, and you can see, if I can get it angled right, up inside you can see the ports where the air is directed. I don't know if you can see the bluish buildup here. This is second valve, I believe. So there was some mineral deposits building up on this horn. It's the cycles of being played. Again, this is our showroom demo horn. Horns played. There are both saliva and food particles that go into the horn from the player. Everybody leaks a little bit. But then the other thing is our tap water that we drink. There's another rotor with a little bit of bluish mineral buildup. Again, this is a new horn. It was our demo horn, probably in the showroom now for the last 3 or 4 months. But the other factor, and I've done repair for over 30 years, we're breathing carbon dioxide into this piece of metal, and I think the carbon dioxide gets chemically attracted to the walls and deposits as calcium carbonate deposits. So it's not just the liquids that were blowing through the horn, but it's also the gases that end up forming these mineral deposits. And then when a horn sits for days or weeks, those deposits dry out, and the mineral deposits crystallize and turn into calcium carbonate, which is limestone. And then with copper and brass is a copper alloy. So there's also some copper carbonate. Again, these are chemical reactions that happen just from handling and playing the horn. Hey there. No, you're good. So these rotors will go into, first I'm going to rinse them because I've got valve oil on them. They have to be degreased, and I'll use a detergent to do that. But take care of that, and then I'll show you the finished product.
What horn is that?
That's from my demo. It's a good thing it's the demo. But you probably have a third rotor in the other wall. I don't know if it has plated rotors. But that is kind of a big flaw.
How do you know we didn't do that?
It's the first time the horn's ever been apart.
How do you know that? It's the demo.
I do not know, but I think that's a manufacturing fault.
Look up and see if it's
Well,
been worked on.
I mean, it looks like it almost seals. But I don't know how to do it because I had a problem and then playing fell on it. It's really damaged.
Thanks for your help. Yep.
So these are the rotors in a mild acid solution. This is a commercial product that we buy from a repair supply shop. And I got them degreased in detergent, rinsed again. And there's not much bubbling. Usually on a dirty horn you can see some bubbling or electrolysis as the contaminants are dissolving. So, and if this was a customer's horn, we would have probably done a complete chemical cleaning and then ultrasonic in our ultrasonic machine. But these are about ready to go. I'll rinse and then we can reassemble. Rotors are clean, and then I've also neutralized the acidic solution that we clean them in, so that I'm not putting another chemical problem into the horn. So they're neutralized and then rinsed off with clean, cool water. And some 12. For years we've used the Hetman products. This is my bench bottle of bearing oil. The Hetman stuff is all synthetic, and we feel like it's cleaner and better purity. And then of course they seem to last longer without evaporating. And the other thing I really enjoy about the Hetman products is they are in so many viscosities. We can choose, if say for a horn that has more wear, we can put a heavier viscosity on the bearings. And then of course the needle oiler is very handy for getting lubrication in exactly the right spot. Our Varus horns include they nickel plate the rotors at the factory, and what we find is that the bright nickel is very slippery, and it's a harder surface, a better bearing surface. So the nickel plated rotors tend to last long and prosper. Live long and prosper. But they stay in good working order for a long time. So I put heavy viscosity 13.5 medium bearing oil on the bottom spindle. I put lighter number 12 on the surface of the rotor. And then I'm also going to add more 12 to the top of the casing before I put the bearing plate back in place. This is the first valve rotor, and it's the last one I'm installing. Get the surface of it coated. and then a little bit extra in the casing. And I'm going to spin these rotors to ensure that they're moving freely and there's no stress or contaminants in the way to prevent the action. Working on horns with the levers in place can be a pain, but we've found ways to work around it. If this was a full ultrasonic cleaning, we'd be disassembling, including removing all the levers, springs, and the axle. So I just added some bearing oil inside the back bearing plate. Here's the first valve, same thing, oil inside. Third. And second. On your rotor plates, you've probably noticed the little marks. And these line up actually with the serial number reference. But on this model horn, there's also a witness mark on the front edge that I have to line up. There's a witness mark here at the edge of the valve casing, and I want to get those perfectly aligned so that we can guarantee the valve alignment. I just lined up second valve, and I'll be seating the plate. We have wooden dowels that we use that are this considered a drift by a machinist, and I'll be tapping the drift to seat the plate down against the valve casing. You want the valve casing perfectly level, because if the rotor plate is sitting sideways or not down completely flat, it can bind the rotor and the rotor won't turn freely. Third, line up the reference mark. And fourth. Now I still want to check for free, smooth operation. Second, third, and fourth are running great. They're smooth and free. I don't think I have the plate down completely on first valve because it's not turning. Try to seat the plate better. And now it moves. Just fine. Second. Third. Fourth. The stop arm for the thumb lever is unique because you can swap the screw from side to side to stand the horn in F or B flat. This orientation with the peg on the left is standing in F. If I wanted to stand the horn in B flat, I'd move the screw to the opposite side, and that allows the rotor to turn in the opposite direction. Stand in B flat, and then thumb down would be standing in F. So I'm going to run the main rotor screw in. Tighten it down so the stop arm is captive. On our Varus model horns, the first, second, and third stop arms are all identical. And I consider it it's a, where's the dadgum camera? It's a D shape on the stop arm spin, on the rotor spindle. They're all identical. Some makers, Yamaha comes to mind, because the rotors don't turn all in the same direction. There's some models of horn where second and third valve turn opposite from first valve. That means that they make stop arms of a different orientation, relation to the D keyway and where the stop arm is. So when you encounter that, it's important to put the correct stop arm onto the appropriate rotor stem. If you don't, the rotor can be turned 90 degrees and the horn won't play right. There's a bit of residual water up in the threads, so I like to soak that up in case there's any acid solution in there. And this is just a paper towel that I've turned into a wick. Stop arm retaining screw or the main rotor screw. And I'll run those down with my jeweler's screwdriver. It's faster. But then I want to go back with a bigger screwdriver blade for more leverage, and in order to not tear up the screw head. And a lot of the times when you'll find a horn is noisy, it's because something isn't tightened down. So the cork plate, for instance, if the cork plate screws aren't tightened down, you can get some slop and noise as the arm travels back and forth. Sometimes the main rotor screw isn't tightened down all the way, and the stop arm will actually move up and down on the arm, and that will make noise. When we finish a horn or prep a horn to go in the showroom, we want the valves to be absolutely silent. And so sometimes it's just a matter of not all the screws were tightened all the way. So I'm going to tie the string on. And again, if this was a horn that we're cleaning for a customer or doing a complete ultrasonic clean, I'd be replacing these strings. But this is our showroom demo horn, and I haven't made the strings dirty. They're not frayed, so we're going to reuse the same strings. So I've gone in a figure 8 pattern. Dadgummit. Around the main rotor screw, back opposite way around the stop arm screw, and then once again back the opposite way around the rotor arm of the rotor spindle, tucking the string through the end string hole. And then I want and I'm not sure you can see this on camera yet, but I want the string on the end screw, on the lever arm screw, to go in a clockwise direction, and then tuck under itself. That way, as you tighten the string arm screw, or the lever arm screw, it will pull the string tighter as it tightens down in a clockwise direction. That minimizes slop or excess motion in your levers, and also makes it look pretty. I'll do a final adjustment on that. I'm going to get these other strings tied.
I just wanted to draw your attention in case you didn't see it. There is a question here for you. Or
Don't even know where to look to see the chat.
there we go.
Thanks, BAC guys. Hey Luke, regarding your question, some of it is we recommend a ultrasonic cleaning once every 2 years, if not once annually. But sometimes it varies by personal chemistry. Some people react to the metal and get more buildup than others. The best thing you can do to keep your horn clean is snake the mouth pipe once a month. And yes, warm soapy water is a great tool to do that. I saw a thread on Facebook just a few weeks ago where certain people recommended the original Listerine down the mouth pipe. A few drops of that diluted in 3 or 4 ounces of water, or you could use it full strength and then rinse. You want the yellow old school Listerine, not the stuff with the dye in it. But that also can kill germs and sanitize your pipe. If you keep your mouth pipe clean, then you're really reducing the chance of all those contaminants, food particles, other stuff getting further into the horn. But again, since we are carbon-based life form and we're exhaling carbon dioxide, I think you could get a lot of the blue or green buildup inside of your horn is just from the act of breathing and blowing air through your horn. So ultimately, those deposits will crystallize, and you'll eventually probably have to have it ultrasonically cleaned. Our ultrasonic solution is mildly acidic, so it will dissolve those deposits. It's also got other detergents in it, and over the past year and a half, we've been using a sanitizing solution also that kills any germs, bacteria, or viruses because of that thing called COVID. So I've tightened the screws on the lever string screw at the end of the lever arm. But I've left the stop arm string screw loose so far. What that will do is allow me to raise the freaking camera. Because I want to look down the lever arms. And the camera is lagging. But I want to look across the top plates of the valve levers and get them lined up. I'll also try to set up the horn for a person with a medium-sized hand. I'm 6 feet tall and I have a large hand, but half of our customers are young ladies that might be 5'4" or 5'6", or smaller in the case of a young student. So I try to set the valve levers at a height that's going to be comfortable for most players, and most people are a bit shorter with smaller hands than I have. So I've got first valve set, and I'm going to align second valve plate with first. Third's still a little bit high. And it's just trial and error. I'm looking across it, going back to the other side. I'm loosening the stop arm string screw a little bit so that I can slide the string under it. As I loosen it and the string is able to move, then I can push it back to where I want it. And right now you can probably see that they're lined up nicely. Again, because I'm trying to line it up for a smaller hand, I'm using the top of the finger hook as a reference. I don't want them higher than the top of the finger hook. Otherwise they're over an inch above the level of the tail here. And I like that alignment. I'm going to double check that these screws are tight so the levers won't change. And third, because of the rotation of the rotor, it's a little bit of noise in third valve. So maybe the plate didn't seat completely. And you probably can't see it on camera, but the plate's up just a hair on the edge here. And that there was actually a little bit of noise because the rotor had some vertical plate. Now it's aligned and tight and quiet. That's a valve service on our demo horn from the showroom, and I'm really happy with that. Feels great and everything's quiet. Almost forgot to tighten the stop arm screw on the thumb. Hey, I'm going to sign off for today. Thanks for watching, and you can email us anytime with more questions. Have a great day. Do you have a gun? Because I want to shoot that camera. Or maybe just a big hammer. Yeah. Is that Laura's horn?
Yeah.
Is it close? Because she's pissed.
Well,
Nice job.
it feels a little gummy. It's not the only thing.
Just making sure these end screws are tight. What thumb feels a little gummy. And there's a lot of slop in third.
Oh, I see that.
So you can tighten up that string. I always check them like this. So I'm holding this up
Yeah.
arm. Work the lever. First and second are good. Third is a lot of slop. Laura, we're just doing the last few adjustments on it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Didn't work? Yeah.
There's a doggy.
You can come in and say hi.
Hey, babies. Oh, hey, Chief. Hey, Chief. You need the belly rubs. Yeah. Chief needs the belly rubs.
Excuse him, but he's just so like chilled.
Yeah.
I mean, he could like wag his tail or something, but he's too tired to do that.
Yeah, sleepy baby.
Lord, do you know Mark's father-in-law, Katie's father-in-law, is in Wilkesboro or something. It's just east and south of Memphis.
Oh, cool.
Joe Salmonsberger is his name. He does brass repair.
Oh, okay, good to know, because I was wondering what I would
He,
do without you.
Katie grew up in the back of a music store. It's called Mid-South Music.
Oh, cool.
And there's a big chain in Tennessee and Kentucky, I think, that's called, I can't think of the name. But they always had to compete with the big chain, and theirs was a family business.
Oh.
They had a retail store for many years, but Joe sold this store. They actually owned the building and sold it about 10 years ago for a lot of money.
Oh, wow.
And now he works out of his home in, I'll get the name of the town for you.
Could you
He's a tuba player.
Okay.
And his wife Debbie,
Could you check the hand corrections? Yeah, that's good for you.
she's
That
a
is good to
flute
know.
player. So she did all the woodwind repairs, and he did all the brass
Oh.
repairs.
Ooh, feels good.
That's good.
Yeah.
But I'll send you their contact info.
Yeah, that'd be great. Is this where I used to have my foot?
We took it off.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
that's why I was asking.
Okay. So yeah, I might just want to move
We
the
took your foot off.
foot.
I didn't need it.
Anything else?
Move it
Okay, I
down.
think I still have the key for it.
We got one here.
So, oh, cool.
More down? Or I guess you can.
Actually, yeah, just a little looser. Wait. Very tiny left. Ooh, the Yamaha string this time?
Yeah. Personally, I don't like the Yamaha string because it's band directors love it because it never breaks.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Well, even that sometimes. I've
yeah,
seen
it
break.
will be. But
With
Um,
the school horns.
it's so thick. I feel like it slows the action a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it feels fine now to me.
I'll tell you what. I will send some other.
Well, I think you already gave me some.
Okay.
Okay, so did you end the screen?
I have no idea how to sign off.
Ah,
I just said, okay, so this ends our thing, and I turned the phone
okay.
off.
The big button that says end stream here.
Where?
Oh no!
the big red button.
I had no idea, and I couldn't find you.
Oh, by the way, how much do you all charge for an ultrasonic cleaning? We charge $200 to ultrasonically clean a horn, in case anyone's still listening. Right. Bye.
I've been off for at least 5 minutes.